Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. Spring training has started. That means that the Giants Baseball 101 schedule is a video after every game. Just so that you're all aware of that. The Giants lost to the Cubs today 10-8. Obviously the Giants don't need to win games right now. They just need all their players to get their work in. They need to shape their opening day roster in the best way possible by evaluating the performances and tools of the prospects that are in camp and see who is ready to make an immediate contribution on the 26-man roster when opening day rolls around. And as far as the promising things that we saw today, I think the key is really going to be whether they can transform into major league consistency. I mean, you do always see that, these flashing moments from prospects who have real major league level tools, but I think the key is just consistency. That's the presence or absence of it is going to be what defines the player. Tristan Beck started for the Giants today and he went 2 innings, gave up 1 run, and exactly when he'll join the Giants rotation is uncertain. Obviously, there's a possibility he'll get traded too. We never know, but if he sticks with the Giants, when he contributes, that's something we don't know. The key for him, like really any starting pitching prospect, is going to be consistency in the rotation. And the same thing's true for Kyle Harrison. I mean, he's a top guy. Everybody's pretty excited about him, so, and Tristan Beck, not so much talk about him, but I'd say that he does have a chance of contributing as a solid starter at some point for the Giants. And yeah, again, the key is going to be consistency. And when he gets to the big leagues, not quite sure, but he probably will get quite a few more reps this spring training. I'm pretty sure the Giants are going to want to get innings in for him. LaMonte Wade Jr. hit a home run, which, I mean, that's a good sign of his power. Again, the thing's going to be consistency for him. He had this big, home run streak in 2022. It showed itself really just after the trade deadline when things were I think at that point when the Giants didn't add to their roster, things were kind of past hope for the Giants. But LaMonte Wade Jr. was kind of showing off his power in a home run streak. But overall, last year, he just didn't contribute much. And he really hasn't been expected to be an elite performer in 2023, but it was good to see his power today. And if he could just get, some consistency with that, then that might change things. He was a great player in 2021. Like I said before, probably the real role for him is platoon. If he could just see at-bats against right-handed pitching, what that would do for him, I don't exactly know. And that's the thing with having to rely on him kind of as their constant first baseman. That'd be a thing with the loss of Brandon Belt, although Belt was a lefty bat too, so I still don't think Belt was irreplaceable. He was a lefty bat. You could not have platooned the two. It's really having Darren Ruff on the roster that helped with that until Ruff just really struggled in 2022. The Giants traded him, and now they've got Wade. He's slated in as their primary first baseman, although it was just mentioned on their website that Jock Peterson could see time at first base. So, LaMonte Wade Jr., ideally, he would platoon, but their first base options are kind of limited. Peterson's a lefty bat, but he's probably a bit more well-rounded, although even I think he definitely hits better against right-handed pitching. So if Wade can gain consistency somehow, I'm not sure how exactly that would turn out. Ideally, he faces right-handed pitching. If he can get consistency, his power is something that I just think we need to notice. The other guys hit home runs for the Giants were prospects Casey Schmitt and Blake Sabol. And Schmitt, he was playing third base today. I wonder if he's David Villar's biggest competition. The Giants view David Villar as the guy to start at third base, but Casey Schmitt had 2 hits today, including a home run. So if he's going to start spring training hot, if this is going to kind of keep going for him, obviously spring training's a small sample in any case, but it's the ultimate way to evaluate who's going to play what position and who's going to even be on the opening day roster. So David Villar is probably at least going to feel like he has something to catch up with there. I mean, if Schmitt's hot, I don't really expect Schmitt to make the opening day roster. But again, if he's real hot in spring training, that could make a few things happen. And if he were on the roster as a backup, I mean, I know teams often don't like to have their prospects like sit on the bench, but sometimes you kind of got to do it that way. And as for having Schmitt play shortstop, it would be hard for him to unseat longtime starting shortstop Brandon Crawford. But even there, and again, Schmitt would have a lot to prove to make it happen, but if it turned out that Crawford was past his prime, well past his prime, not going to hit any better than average, and Schmitt was just red hot, is there a possibility the Giants would put him in as the starting shortstop? Again, way outside of the odds here, way against the odds, but could it happen? I mean, I think we just have to say we don't know. Obviously, the Giants need to win games with whatever they've got. And Blake Sabol, he's the other guy that we could talk about at catcher. I'd assumed it was going to be Joey Bart and Austin Wynns. Not even Joey Bart is guaranteed a spot on the opening day roster. Blake Sabol hit a home run today, and it's just one game, but it's the start. So is there any possibility Sabol will make the roster? Again, I think that in all probability he's going to start at AAA, but that he could maybe make some unexpected things happen by being really hot in spring training. But as far as when he can contribute as a catcher, Austin Wynns didn't hit super well last year, so even if, say, Wynns did make the roster, it was Barr as the starting catcher and Wynns as the backup, even if it was aligned that way, if Wynns continued to be just cold with the bat and, say, Sabol was real hot in spring training, would the Giants ever decide to maybe designate Wynns for assignment again, which would almost certainly result in his free agency, and call up Sabol? There would be a risk in doing that because once you've cut Wynns, I mean, he's out of options, so they're not going to be able to get him back again, and just because someone's hot in the minors, it doesn't make them hot in the majors, but all the same, it can be promising. So would they ever decide to just slot in Sabol like that? Or would they just wait for an injury opportunity? Or maybe just put him in as the third catcher when it's convenient to have three catchers on the team? That's the question with him. So the Giants did squeeze out 8 runs total in their lineup today. Again, the overall principle here is consistency. There are a lot of interesting prospects who we wonder if and when they can contribute. I'm still excited about seeing Kyle Harrison start whenever he's going to do it. I'm not sure if it's tomorrow or I didn't check, but whenever he starts in spring training, I am excited about seeing him pitch. We'll just have to kind of see what happens, how he performs. But the key is really not just occasional flashes of potential. The key is consistency, and something the Giants have really struggled with. They've had prospects come up and be real hot and then cool off, and then they're still kind of the backbone of a lot of the team, and it's not good. But David Villar is the guy that was, I mean, I don't know that, it's like overall in 2022, he had a good performance. So he had his ups and his downs, but overall he had a good performance. That's a good sign, that's what counts. But it was, even for him, it was a small sample size in 2022, so can he keep that up in 2023? That's the question. When we see him get more at-bats in spring training this year, we'll see how he performs and be able to get a better idea. But as of right now, we have seen some promise in particularly these Giants hitters. We have to see how they continue to perform in spring training, and then it's just going to be a question of when they're able to contribute. You don't want to rush guys. I don't think that's a good idea to rush them to big leagues. You could get real excited about prospects who are supposed to be able to, help you win games, and you're rightfully eager to win games, and then you call those prospects up. Turns out you rushed them to the big leagues. They're all cold, and there are a lot of things they don't know how to do. They struggle with plate discipline, or with pitchers, it's command, and you have a problem. So that's something the Giants have to avoid. At the same time, they want to make sure that they're giving everybody who can contribute the opportunities that they deserve. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you have not, and you know where to leave the questions and comments. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.